Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'd love to welcome back travel expert and vacation planner, Erin Morgenthal. Hey Erin, welcome back.
Hi, good
And
to be
today, good to have you here. And today I want to focus on travel planning and love of the magic vacations. So, Erin, let's talk all inclusive first. What exactly is included in an all-inclusive package?
So, an all inclusive package is typically going to include your room, your hotel, obviously, your drinks and food, alcohol and non alcoholic beverages, your entertainment, and your activities. Most of the time, your airport transfers are going to be included. And then it depends on the resort, but sometimes they will even include your gratuities. So there's a lot that's included. Oh, even, I didn't even touch on activities like the water sports activities. So there's lots to do and lots to see on the resorts.
And would you say that all-inclusives are typically worth the cost? Because I know they can have a really expensive upfront cost, but usually, I mean, based on trips I've taken, they seem to pan out, but
Yeah, I think it depends on what your goals are with your trip. If you're just looking to chill out and have somebody else take care of you for a week, then definitely, your all your food and your drinks are brought to you. Hang out by the pool, read a book. Um, so they can definitely be a good investment if you're just looking for to have everything all bundled together where you don't have to worry about piecemealing a trip together or putting together different cost factors.
right. And what would you say are the typical dining options like at an all-inclusive resort?
So there's usually at least one buffet, and then they'll have different cuisine restaurants, like a French restaurant or a Mexican restaurant. Sometimes there's an Asian restaurant, and those you would go and make a reservation for on the night you want to eat at them. Um, but the buffet is always going to be open to everybody, and that's going to be your like 3 meals a day option. And then there's even coffee shops and snacks, ice cream.
Hmm. And with gratuity and tipping, how do you necessarily know whether you should or should not? Do hotels usually tell you that on their website, or is it based on like a country you go to?
So you're going to know when you book what's included. If you're looking at the details on your package, it's going to tell you all of the inclusions on it. Any additional tipping that you do is obviously a very personal choice. If you want to tip your housekeeper or you have excellent service at a dining establishment and you want to tip them. I always recommend, especially like right at the beginning of your trip, if you have a poolside waiter that you really like and you want him to come back frequently, give him a tip that first time, a nice tip, and he will keep coming back or she will keep coming back to you. You won't have to wait as long for your drinks.
That's actually a great tip because tip, get it? But I remember when we were in Cancun or Riviera Maya both times, but particularly Riviera Maya, we were sitting in this little area that was between the pool and the beach. And so like nobody, it was really like kind of secret, but it was good shade. My husband's very fair skinned. So we were reading our books there all day long. And I'm like, no one's gonna find us, like no one's gonna come give me a pina colada way out here. And he's like, oh, maybe they will. So this one little guy came out and he kept coming. And, you tip him. And then the whole rest of the week, he's your guy. He's got your drinks, he's got your refills, he's got your snacks, everything. So I would wholeheartedly agree with that. It was excellent experience. And you just give him a few bucks every time. Perfect.
Yeah.
And I know you touched a little bit on water activities in an all-inclusive. And so I kind of want to know what you think about, is it enough? Like, do all inclusive have enough activities for you to just be able to do all week and not have to pay for an extra excursion? Or do you just kind of need to decide what you want to do ahead of time? Because I know that, you know, depending on what you want to do, sometimes if you're trying to like see the place you're in, if it's like a foreign country, then it gets a little expensive with the, extra excursions. Or if you're just trying to stay at the hotel, it seems to be a little more cost effective, but
Yeah, I think the all inclusive is it's a typically a very insular location. So you're not really going to get an experience of being in country. If you're at an all inclusive and say the Dominican Republic, most of those you're going down a driveway and into the hotel, and then you're just kind of on their property the whole time. So you're not really interacting or seeing much of the country. So I always recommend looking at outside excursions. Typically, you can find them, and I work with my clients to make sure that I'm working within what they want to spend and getting them the best experience. But I think it's important to kind of step outside of that bubble
Hmm.
you get with the all inclusive. But some people, are just happy to sit on the beach, and that's cool too. You can paddleboard and snorkel and do what you need to do right there on their beach. But we can't really say we've been someplace if we're not
Right, just on the beach.
really experiencing the local culture and people, which you're missing out if you don't.
Right. That was my thing is I remember on our honeymoon, I took my husband to Mexico because I have family from there and he had never been. And so we stayed at an all-inclusive, just because I got the Delta points. But then I kept wanting to do things. And and it racks up pretty quick when you're doing an extra excursion. Oh, you've never seen Chichen Itza. We gotta go. Wait, oh, Isla Mujeres, let's go. So that I learned my lesson and then but then my husband is also the type of person, which I imagine you have to work with your clients sometimes on this, where one person is like an adventurer and the other one really just wants to like read a book the whole week? So how can we find a happy medium? Do we go on an excursion one day and then we take a break the next day and then we go on an excursion the next day or?
Yeah, and I think that that's part of working through it and making sure that the itinerary is what everybody in the party wants. Um, my best friend is a very introverted individual who would be happy just sitting with a book. When we go on a cruise together, she's in bed by 7 o'clock with her book. She's not out doing things, and I'm the opposite. So, in recognizing where each other are and being cool with that is part of the solution. But yeah, when you have a large group, especially, it's hard to uh, keep everybody happy. So concessions always have to be made. You have to compromise, right?
Right.
Just like with your kids, my kids never all want to do the same thing. So you say, okay, everybody gets to pick one thing that they want to do.
Right. Right. And then it's your day. Now it's your
Yeah,
day. Okay, now it's your day.
yeah,
And I know we touched on hidden fees a little bit with the tipping and things like that. And I want to cover that just a little more because I think a lot of people go into all inclusives expecting everything to kind of be included in the all inclusive. And sometimes things aren't. So could you name some things that typically aren't, like spa?
yeah. I mean, spa is a big one. Spa treatments. You We touched on the off site excursions. Those obviously aren't going to be included. Resort fees, those are sometimes something that people don't factor in. And I try to make sure that they are included, and if they aren't, then I factor that into the total cost that I'm taking to them before we book. But they can be pricey, $50 a day adds up quick. And then, we talked about gratuities, but for the most part, you can go to an all inclusive and just do what is included without any additional cost and have a fantastic time. You don't have
Right.
to do anything additional.
Hmm. And for just all inclusives that you like, I know in our first episode you had mentioned some that you really like and locations where they are. Could you kind of restate those and then maybe add a few more that you really enjoy?
Yeah. So, um, the Hyatt resorts, the Hyatt Ziva and Zilara in the Dominican is a beautiful resort. It's a good sized resort, but I love that it has an adult side and a family side. It has fantastic fitness and spa facilities, and the restaurants are beautiful. Um, and they have really great activities for families and adults all the time. Zoetry is a great brand with locations in all over the Caribbean, but they focus more on wellness. So you're going to get more of a Zen, relaxed experience. So it would, it's great for like a girl's relaxation trip, or, like a respite trip for me would be.
Right.
um, get away from the kids and just relax for a few days, get a massage. Um, I also like the Secrets and Dreams resorts. I know I talked about the Secrets resorts. Those are the adult resorts, but they also have a sister brand called Dreams, which is a family resort. And typically they will be near each other at a destination. And then kind of like with the Hyatt resorts, if you're staying at Secrets, you'll get privileges at the Dreams Resort, and adults would have reciprocal privileges at the Secrets Resort. So it's nice when you can find sister brands like that you can kind of expand your experience a little.
Yeah, that's great. And I want to kind of close our all-inclusive chat by asking about just rates. As a travel planner, do you get any sort of special rates or anything like that for certain all-inclusives?
So it varies by season and by supplier, of course. But like Sandals, which we didn't really touch on, does some great incentives. Like they do periodically a deal that you can get a free night's stay with so many nights paid. And then my big value from my perspective, from a travel advisor perspective, is having access to perks once you're at in country and you're at your resort. From upgrading a room to getting a special private dinner. There's different experiences that can be added on.
Yeah, okay, that's great. And now I want to transition a little bit and I want to talk all about cruises with you. Again, Travel Brats, if you didn't listen to our first episode, definitely after this go back and check it out because we did introduce cruising. And I want to dive deeper now. So, what does being a cruise specialist typically look like for you?
So I cruise a lot. I'm all about hands-on experience. So
Hmm.
I just finished a few weeks ago my 40th cruise since 2021, and I'm actually getting on ship again tomorrow. Um, and that has given me some pretty cool insight into how um, different ships work, and some insight into how to maximize the cruise experience, and what kind of ship and which cruise line is going to work best for different clients.
Oh, that's great. And congrats on your 40th cruise. That's pretty
Thank
impressive.
you.
And why cruise instead of staying in one place?
Cruising for me, I think that it's a fantastic way to experience multiple destinations that you've never been to in a region, to kind of taste test. Um, Particularly if you're looking at like Southern Caribbean or even Eastern. But let's talk about the Mediterranean. If you're going to take a med sailing, um, you're going to hit maybe two, three different countries, and then you can decide if you've never been there before, oh, I want to go back. I want to go
Mm.
back to France and I want to explore more there. Or, oh, I had so much fun in Venice. I want to go back and explore more of Italy. Um, Greece is a great one to take these little, not little, but you can take a Eastern Mediterranean sailing and hit like Greece and Turkey, and um, get an idea for that area. And then maybe next time you want to fly directly to Greece and just explore the different islands there, or stay on one in particular. So they're a great way to pack once, unpack once, and see multiple countries within a week or two.
Yeah, that's a great point to kind of just get a little taste of each of these places and see what you really like. And I know you touched on this in our first episode too, but could you dive a little deeper into, what are your favorite cruise lines and ones that you frequently recommend to your clients?
Um, I I sell and sail a lot of Royal Caribbean. Their new ships in particular, the Icon class, are just next level. I was nervous about Icon because it is massive, but we had an incredible time on board both times, and we're really excited to see Star next year. Celebrity is another one, a little bit of an elevated experience. They're owned by Royal Caribbean Group, but it's like they're level up from Royal. So their Edge class is another that's it's a little bit bigger, but they elevate the food, they elevate the entertainment. It's a little more, I don't want to say bougie, but yeah, it, I mean, I'm bougie, so I'm all about it.
Right, right. Bougie for bougie. It's a perfect fit.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, and it's a fantastic value because, there are really upscale lines that Oceana, Azamara, that, you're going to pay a premium for that experience. And I think that Celebrity in particular is a great kind of counterbalance, middleman sort of cruise to get that taste of a little bit of luxury without paying that high price for the luxury lines. Um, for families, I love the new Excel class ships on Carnival. I think that they're great. There's so much to do on the ship. Again, the entertainment is next level. These shows that they put on these ships now is just amazing to me. The amount of talent that they bring on board.
That's a great point. I remember going on the Disney cruise and just my favorite part was the shows at night. Like they had a big theater hall and just the shows they put on and they were like, they're Disney shows for, the kids, but they're awesome for anybody. I loved it. And yes, the singing, the acting, it was phenomenal. Now, what would you say, and this is kind of hard because it's not for one particular person, but for like the average cruiser that you help plan trips for, what does the typical amount of the trip cost, amount of the cruise cost, say for like a 4-day weekend, two adults, maybe?
If you're going to do a 4 night, which is, typically like a Monday to Friday, you can do a solid Royal Caribbean for $1,000 a person,
Hmm.
less depending on the time of year. And that's in a balcony. Some people are fine with interiors. I don't mind an interior if it gets me on a ship.
Right,
That's what I need to do that time. Fine. Because you're not typically getting on a cruise ship to sit in your room. You're going to
right.
get to sleep and change and whatnot, but you're going to be out and about experiencing what the ship has to offer. So yeah, I would say, $800 to $1,000 a person is a good amount to budget.
And what all is included in that cruise fare?
So your cruise fare is going to include your accommodations. And then you pay taxes and port fees as part of that. And then with that fare, you're going to get your room, you're going to get your dining, and there'll be multiple dining options that are included on every ship. You're going to get your entertainment and all of your activities. And these ships have activities. You'll get every morning a schedule, and they'll have something going on for everybody. Every 15 minutes, it seems like there's something else going on. Um, and the entertainment is multiple options every night. And then your basic beverages are included. For the most part, you're going to get like juices and coffee and tea. Uh, Sometimes, depending on the line, soda will be included, but typically that's not even really included. You would pay for a beverage package for that. But um, for the amount of money that you put into your trip, the amount that you invest, the value is there. It is
Hmm.
definitely there. When you think about if you were to buy a hotel or get a hotel room for 4 nights, and then you were to pay for your transportation and your activities, and then your food and your drinks, um, most of the time, you're going to come out ahead if you were to take that trip on a cruise ship.
Right. And are there specific times of the year that you could recommend for someone that's maybe wanting to go in lower season for a better rate?
So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Um, Caribbean cruises in particular, hurricane season runs June to November, more like
Mm.
May to November now. Um, and that is when you're going to see that May time, May early, October, November are when you're going to see the best value for your dollar, just because the kids are back in school. So the ships aren't running it at premium rates as they would be on a holiday or a summer break. Um, and then on top of that, Royal Caribbean in particular runs kids sail free promotions where you pay for your first and second guest as adults, and then if you want to take the kids, you're just paying taxes for them.
Oh, wow. That's
And
great.
that's something that we take advantage of as a family being in Florida. We'll do a weekend and it's easy peasy and we end up paying nothing for the kids, just taxes and port fees for them.
That's amazing. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Royal Caribbean. Now,
Yeah.
do you find that Royal Caribbean is that kind of a favorite among your clients, or do you have different people having kind of different favorite cruise lines?
Everybody, cruises are one of those things when you have a cruiser, they're typically going to be loyal to one brand because they want to get their status with that line.
Hmm.
They all have their loyalty programs, and the more you cruise with them, then the higher your status is. Uh, so my Royal cruisers are 90% of the time going to be sailing on Royal. Um, I have some that are diehard Norwegian fans. I'm not a big Norwegian fan, but they love Norwegian. So they are always going to be on Norwegian. Um, my clients that are a little bit older that have sailed on Virgin voyages book
Hmm.
placeholders on board and they just keep going back on Virgin. So, and then you have the Disney people like me who love DCL and will pay that premium to float with the mouse for a few days.
Yeah, that's great. And how far in advance do you typically have to book a cruise for a good rate?
As far out as you possibly can. So the thing with cruise rates is, for the most part, and there was a blip with COVID where rates were really low and everybody was able to cruise because the rates were super affordable. Now ships are full again. So when bookings open, which now 2026 is opening, that's your that's your prime time to lock in your rate because as demand increases on those sailings, the pricing is dynamic. So the rates are going to continue to go up the
Hmm.
closer you get to sail date. So I would say if you think you want to take a sailing, if you want to get on, Icon of the Seas, or you want to get on, um, oh, I'm blanking on the name of the new celebrity ship. Anyway, as soon as those open, and I know I have clients that want to go on those, then I'm reaching out to them and saying, hey, this window opens on this date. Let's get that room locked in so that your data is secure and you've got the best rate. Now, if a sale comes up and the price goes down, then that's what I'm for. I'm going in and I'm checking regularly to see if rates have decreased. And if they do, then I automatically apply that new promotion.
Mm, right. That's smart. Okay, that makes sense to me. And what types of excursions on cruise ships would you say are typically available?
You can do just about anything. I mean, depending on the destination, you're going to see land tours, Segway tours are a really big thing right now. I'm not sure why. ATV tours, um, Jeep tours. As far as land goes, you can do just about anything. I did an excursion in the Dominican a couple of times now with the kids where we go to Puerto Plata and Monkeyland is there. My kids love it. They get to spend 45 minutes playing with squirrel monkeys. Um,
That's pretty
there's
neat.
there's animal experiences. We've swam with dolphins. Um, in Alaska, you can go. to the dog sled kennel and interact with the dogs. You can take a helicopter to a glacier. You can go salmon fishing
Hmm.
in the Mediterranean. You can take a catamaran out to one of the small islands and do a sunset cruise. There's whatever your interest is, there's something for you to do. So I mean, it's pretty incredible the amount of activities that are available. It's a little overwhelming sometimes trying to figure out, well, what do I want to do this time? Because we only have 8 hours.
Right, right. And then, you have a little excursion each day, and then you got to figure out what on that list of like 100 things you want to do. But that is great. And would you say that it's better to book through the cruise line for convenience and safety for the excursions, or do you book excursions independently typically?
It depends on the destination. Uh, the cruise line is always going to be the first place that I check, just because you know that if you're booked on a cruise line excursion, they're not going to leave without you.
Right,
If you just get off the ship and you start wandering around and you're not back when they say the all aboard time is, they will not wait for you. We've all seen the videos of the the port runners trying to catch up and being left behind. That being said, I work with a couple of vendors that are fantastic, that are third party, and they offer a guarantee that they will get you back to the ship on time. And if they don't, then they will cover your expenses to stay overnight in that destination and then get you to your ship at the next port.
oh, that's interesting. Because I never thought about what if you miss your ship.
Yeah, and I mean it's always a stress, and there I give my clients the typical spiel of leave your phone on airplane mode so that it stays on ship time, because that is the time you need to go by, not the local time. Um,
Right,
and always give yourself extra time to get back. If they say all aboard is 4:30, you be back at the ship by 3:30, because you
right.
never know what you're going to encounter.
Exactly. And I don't want to talk too much more about expenses, but I want to touch on one more thing. How do onboard expenses work? Like, are there any hidden fees that you usually find on cruise lines, like Wi-Fi or specialty dining, tips, etc.?
So I don't think that they're really hidden. Um, but you will pay for Wi-Fi, you will pay for specialty dining, you will pay for spa treatments, like we've talked before. What else are you going to pay for? A couple of the lines have like a priority pass that you can buy, like a front of the line pass for tender ports, or
Hmm.
to get on board first. Um, I think that the big one that people don't take into consideration is gratuities. Um, so you pay an average of $15-16 a day, sometimes more, depends on the line, per person. And then those gratuities are distributed to your housekeeper and your dining staff. And the people behind the scenes that keep everything moving smoothly. So when you think about how many people it goes to, it really isn't a lot. And they work hard for that money. So I know that there's been a trend recently to kind of pull those gratuities off and just hand cash to the people that you see. But I would encourage um, people that are cruising to leave those gratuities on, factor them into the cost of your cruise. And that's what I do when I price a cruise for someone. I have gratuities already included, because there are thousands of individuals on that ship behind the scenes that you don't see, that are making sure that you have a fantastic time.
Right, right. That's a good idea to pre-plan that so you can manage the onboard spending without too much overspending.
Yeah. Oh, drink packages too. I mean, that's something that is something you have to determine for yourself whether or not it's going to be a good investment for you. If you don't drink a lot of alcohol, then getting that deluxe beverage package probably isn't going to be something that you want to pay for, because you're going to pay an average of 60-70 dollars a day before the gratuities, um, for that package. And then if you're not drinking enough to cover that, it's kind of money wasted. You can buy drinks one at a time. Nobody says that you have to buy the drink package to drink alcohol. And the Royal Caribbean does a mid-level package that's a refreshment package. It includes specialty coffees and milkshakes and mocktails and sodas. And that's what we'll get a lot of the time because my kids love milkshakes on the ship. And one of our rules is when we're on ship, you can have as much ice cream as you want. I'm not going to say. So milkshakes are included in that. And
That's great.
I need my coffee. So there's ways to make it worthwhile for you, maximize it, make the package work for you. So I wouldn't call it a hidden fee, but there are definitely additional things to factor in.
Right. And I want to close with one more question about cruise planning. What should I pack for a cruise? So, formal nights, casual wear, swimwear, etc. What should I bring?
The first thing I will say is everyone has an essential cruise packing list, and it has all of these things on it from magnetic hooks to, shower curtain hanging things. Ignore all that. You don't need all that. It's just more stuff for you to schlep on board and back off when you're done. Um, I pack the same things every time for a Caribbean cruise. Caribbean cruise, I'm going to pack comfortable clothes for daytime, shorts, t-shirts, swimsuits, maybe like one or two cover-ups. For dinner, if you want to change for dinner, you can, but you don't have to. So if you want to pack some light sundresses for dinner, then you can do that. They don't call it formal night anymore. What we're used to, like I'm old, so I remember Love Boat. You probably don't. Formal night does not exist like that. There is no more captain's dinner where everybody's wearing gowns and tuxedos and jewels. Now they call it dress your best night or elegant night. And you will see everything from those gowns and tuxedos, which are typically older people who, are holding fast to that tradition, to shorts and t-shirts and maybe
Right.
flip-flops. But it's your trip. So, I tell people that are like really stressing about what to pack for a Caribbean cruise, um, think about going to the beach, taking a beach trip. What would you take to wear at the beach? Um, that's all you need. That's all you
Right.
need. And the ships offer laundry service. So if we're going to be gone for like 8 days, I pack for 4, and then halfway through, I'll pay for laundry to be done because it's worth it to me not to have to pull all these big bags on the ship, or worry about the porter delivering them to the ship and then the people on ship getting them to my room.
Right. Right.
Now, Alaska and the Med, I mean, depending on where you're sailing to, that packing list is going to change, but the big key is just don't overthink it.
Mm-hmm. Just bring what you need. Don't overthink it. Don't overpack it. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Put everything in your suitcase and then take half out.
Yeah, right. That's what I end up doing every single time.
Right. Probably don't need 6 pairs of shoes.
Right, right. Two to three. 2, 3. Three's maybe pushing it, but
I wear my tennis shoes. I bring my flip flops for the beach, and I bring one pair of dressy sandals. And
that's
that's it.
perfect. It's perfect. And so now I want to talk about theme parks a little more with you. Again, Travel Brats, if you have not listened to our first episode, go ahead and check that out because we kind of do an introduction to theme parks and how Erin is accustomed to them. But I want to talk a little bit more about just the technical side of it. What is the best time, would you say, to visit theme parks to avoid bigger crowds?
In general, when school is in session, is going to be less crowded.
Hmm.
Theme parks in general are a family destination. Post COVID, it's changed a little bit. We, and I say we as parents, in general, aren't as finicky about our kids missing school now after they missed a year. So if a trip is important and it's going to make the price feasible for us to make that trip happen, then we'll pull the kids for a week. But I would say that picking a time between September September to early November, the beginning of December, and then that January, February time are
Mhm.
probably your lower crowd levels. Just factor in holidays and summer break and then work from there. Um, but yeah, it's kind of a whole new world when it comes to crowd levels. We used to have these crowd calendars that showed us what the high season was going to look like, and those kind of all got thrown out the window.
Right, right. And this is a tricky question, but how in general can somebody save money on tickets and accommodations? Because theme park tickets can get really expensive quick, and so can convenient hotels.
They can't. So Disney is back to offering promotions pretty regularly. Orlando, Universal offers promotions regularly as well. On the Disney side, not unlike cruises, I always say if you know where you want to go or when you want to go and you know where you want to stay, what resort, then let's get it deposited. Disney, you put down a $200 deposit and that is fully refundable. So we get that package booked in with the tickets at your preferred resort. And then when a promo drops, then we're going to reduce that price. So if your budget allows for a value resort at rack rate, which is what we call the standard rate, and then a promotion drops and it that price goes down enough that now you can stay at a moderate or maybe even a deluxe, then we'll apply that promotion and move you up. And then, if you stay at a deluxe, you're going to get those extra magic hours and you're going to get access to this new premier lightning lane experience that they're offering. So there's benefits to going that route and giving yourself some more value for your dollar. On the Universal side, I always recommend Express Pass at Universal, especially if you're going to be there during a busy season. And a great way to save money on that side is to book your package at a premier resort there because then unlimited Express Pass is included. And
Right.
like during Thanksgiving week, Express Pass can cost $250 a person for one day. And like
It's
we're
crazy.
staying at Royal Pacific Thanksgiving night, we never do Thanksgiving at home. I
I
am
love it.
anti cooking Thanksgiving. It's my holiday too. So we are staying the night at Royal Pacific, and it cost us $600 for the night, which is expensive for a hotel at a theme park, yes. But that gives us not just one day, but 2 days of unlimited express pass. So we get Thursday and Friday unlimited express pass included for our whole family. Now, if we had
Yep.
paid for just the express pass for those 2 days, it would have cost us $2,000.
Yeah, that's crazy. We do the same thing with Portofino, and we've done it with Hard Rock. So yeah,
Yeah,
it really pays for itself, especially
it
if you got
does.
a room of like four people. It's
Yep.
awesome. And would you recommend having the Fast Pass version at Disney as well?
It depends on if it's your how many days you're going to be there, if you've been there before, and how old your kids are. Because it's not an inexpensive system,
Hmm.
and it's one of those that Disney is doable if you've been there before and you're following like my strategy with my kids of just doing, okay, each one of you pick one thing today that you're going to do or two things, then you can get that done in a day. But if you've never been there before and you're wanting to really experience Magic Kingdom, then you're going to want to do Lightning Lane. You're going to want to do that multi pass and you're going to want to experience as much of that park as you can. And it's still going to take multiple days to do that.
Right, right. That's a big place. And on that note, I want to know if you were, helping me plan a trip to say go to Disney for a week and go to Universal for a week. What are your kind of biggest must-sees in each place?
My must sees in each place.
Or
Okay.
must rides, must eats, must parks, especially in Disney, because I know there's more parks than, say, the two at Universal.
Yeah, right. Magic Kingdom, you have to do Haunted Mansion. And I would say if you're going soon, go experience Frontierland as it is before it closes and they get rid of the riverboat and Tom Sawyer Island, because those are really going to be missed.
Right.
I can't say I'm super excited for Cars Land to take that over. Um, as far as food goes, you have to get a Mickey pretzel and you have to get Mickey ice cream bars. Anything Mickey shaped is always better. It doesn't matter what it is.
That's great.
um, at Epcot, I love living with the land, but Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is just such an incredible next level ride that is one that I have paid for Lightning Lane, um, on top of getting a virtual queue so that I could ride it more than once in a day. Um, that's it's that good. And then as far as food goes, my advice with Epcot is always, if you're going to be there in a festival, don't make a dining reservation somewhere. Go
Mm,
experience the food in the booths. I'm
right.
not a fan of drinking around the world, but I am a fan of eating around the world. And there's really good food to be found in those booths.
Yeah.
Hollywood Studios, Rise of the Resistance, is such a great experience, especially that first time going through it. If you're a Star Wars fan at all, that ride is just beautiful. Um, and the new Rock and Roller Coaster. I mean, it's the same ride, but they just refurbished it. So I felt like it was a little more rough than it used to be.
You're getting older.
I am. I am. I
And
can't
the
do
ride's
it
getting
as
older.
many times as I used to.
Yeah, you're getting older, the ride's getting older.
A little bit of both. It's like Space Mountain at Magic Kingdom, you gotta go to the chiropractor when you're done.
Yeah, yeah.
But I love Rock and Roller Coaster. It's such a cool experience. And before they re-theme that, which I have a feeling they will do eventually, that's one to experience. And then Animal Kingdom, just take time to do the trails, the Maharaja Jungle Track. Um, the animals are so beautiful, and the safari ride is so cool. Do it first thing in the morning or right around 5 o'clock to get optimal animal viewing. They're feeding the animals at those times and it's a little bit cooler. Right at sunset, if you go by the lions enclosure, that lion will roar and you can feel it in your bones. It's such a cool thing. Such a cool thing.
That is cool.
Um, Universal side, there's just so much. There's so much. I love Rip Ride Rocket. I love Hulk. I love the Mummy. I'm all about the roller coasters at Universal. And if you're going in spooky season, Halloween Horror Nights is a must do. So much fun. If you're going at the holidays, then do the holiday VIP tour. We do it every year, and it's just so worth the money. It's not expensive at all. I think it's $89 a person, and you get food, you get a tour of like Seuss Landing with the holiday theming. You get to meet the Grinch and have cookies and hot chocolate. You get priority seating to the Grinch, the Whotacular show, and you get to meet Santa.
That's great. That's awesome. And there's so much to do. That sounds really, really fun. You're making me want to go back to Disney because really, I've been to Universal a lot and I love it, but like Disney, I'm like, oh, I remember that, from my childhood.
Isn't that the thing with Disney though? There's so much nostalgia
Yeah,
involved in Disney, especially. I mean, I didn't get to go as a kid, so I can't speak to that in particular, but even my kids now, my 16-year-old was 5, 6 the first time he went, and every once in a while he'll go, "Oh, remember that first trip when," and he'll tell me something we did, and I'll be like, "That's why we did it. That's why
right.
that's why we spent the money."
Oh, that's great. Well, then I will have to plan a trip. And this is, kind of a silly question, but because I haven't been to Disney World in a while, I don't know. I know at Universal there's height restrictions on the outside, and you probably want to measure your kids with those before you drag them in and you wait, half an hour to an hour and then they don't fit on the ride. But do they do the same thing at Disney?
Yeah, yeah. There and all of my clients get a list of all of the minimum height requirements for every attraction and the list of rides that don't have any that you can take the little bitties on. And then I always give my recommendations of which ones, even if there's not a height requirement, they may not like.
They're scary. Yeah.
um, but yeah, and even when there is a height requirement, they have their checkpoint before you get in line. So you can walk up to the entrance of the ride before you get in line to make sure that they're going to be able to ride.
Right. Okay, that's great. Well, Erin, thank you so much. To close, I just want to ask you one last question about just kind of the three different topics we've talked about, all inclusives, cruises, and theme parks. What would you say is kind of the biggest difference between the three and the biggest similarity between the three?
Theme parks are not a vacation. Theme parks are a workout. Um, Before we lived in Florida and went to Disney just regularly, um, it was I need a vacation for my vacation. We would come home and it would take a couple days to recover. So that's the big difference between all inclusives and cruises and theme parks is theme parks are not relaxing. They are not a vacation. They're an
Right.
experience. Um, Similarities, I would say all three have the opportunity to be an elevated experience, a luxury experience, or an entry level basic experience. They are what you make of them. Um, and they all give the opportunity to experience something new.
Well, Erin, thank you so much again for coming on the Travel Brats and talking all about the comparing and well, Erin, thank you so much for coming on the Travel Brats and comparing and contrasting all inclusives, cruises, and theme parks with us. Travel Brats, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't listened to our first episode with Erin, go check that out and then tune into our next episode, Family Travel and Featured Trips. Bye for now.